"Sir, we wish to see Jesus." They've heard about Jesus, these Greeks who have come up to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. Stories about him have been spreading from Galilee in the north all the way to the hill country of Judea in the south. The Greeks probably heard how Jesus fed 5,000 people with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and still had 12 baskets of leftovers. These Greeks might have been told about the man born blind, how Jesus made mud with dirt and saliva and spread it on the man's eyes and told him to wash, and then the man could see. And surely the Greeks heard about Jesus' friend Lazarus, how he had died and been in the tomb 4 days, long enough for the stench of decay to waft out from the grave. But Jesus came and prayed and told Lazarus to come out, and Lazarus was raised from the dead. The signs themselves are impressive, even in an age when people expect miracles to happen as a matter of course. But what speaks to the Greeks even more is the reality beyond the signs. Abundant, satisfying food for all who hunger, healing and community for all who've been ostracized because they're different, breaking the fearsome power of death with a love so strong it can open a grave. The Greeks long for that abundance and healing and love. The deepest desire of their hearts is to have some of what Jesus offers, to abide in him, to be in relationship with him. So they go to Philip, the disciple with a Greek name who speaks their language, and they put words to their heart's desire. "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." The shadow of the cross now falls over everything. It is the final week of Jesus' life on earth. His friend Mary of Bethany has anointed him as though for burial. He has made his triumphant entry into Jerusalem. The plot to kill him is well underway. Jesus doesn't give direct answers in the Gospel of John, really ever. And now, in the last week, his mind and heart are focused on the hour that has come. He tells Philip and Andrew, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, unless the seed is planted, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, if the seed is buried in rich soil and watered, mulched, and weeded, it bears much fruit. Jesus is only one person. The movement he's begun will remain small if he is the only leader. He has to die and eventually rise again so that his disciples can bear fruit in the growth of his movement and in the spread of abundance, healing, and love in the world. Jesus knows this. He knows the Roman governor and his pals in the Jerusalem leadership are waiting to arrest him and bring him to trial on a trumped-up charge. But he will not ask to be rescued from this hour. Bearing much fruit is the reason he has come to this hour. He uses typically Jesus' hyperbole about hating one's life in this world. Maybe he really means what Augustine of Hippo would call ordering your loves, putting your attachments in the proper order. Jesus loves his life. His life is a gift from God, and as a faithful Jew, he takes that seriously. He loves the people God has created in God's image even more, so much that he's willing to die for them. Perhaps Jesus doesn't hate his life so much as he is willing to give up his life for a greater purpose, the salvation, healing, and love of all humankind. Not that this is an easy prospect for Jesus. He's in turmoil. His soul is troubled, as anyone's would be. Jesus is a human being like all human beings. Death is going to hurt, and hurt badly. And crucifixion, the Romans' favorite method of executing their enemies, is designed to be humiliating. Instead of a nice, discreet execution in some dungeon, Jesus will be killed in public, with a notice listing his crimes posted over his head, right outside the city walls of Jerusalem, where everyone coming and going into the city will see it. The shame of being nailed to a cross and publicly proclaimed a criminal will attach itself not only to Jesus, but to everyone associated with him. But the death Jesus will die will overturn human perceptions and power structures. What looks at first like utter defeat for the Word made flesh, God's creative power and energy in a human body, is the prelude to God's ultimate triumph, God's destruction of the power of death to separate humanity from God. Jesus goes willingly to the cross so that nothing, not even death, can stop God from loving humankind. Jesus places no limits on his love or God's love for people. He says, "When I am lifted up, I will draw all people to myself." We human beings like to draw lines between us and them. We always have, we probably always will. But Jesus isn't in the business of drawing lines. To him, there is only ever an us. For Jesus, all means all. Jews and Gentiles, Greek speakers and Aramaic speakers and Latin speakers, rich and poor, slave and free, male and female, young and old, all people. All people will abide in Jesus, be in relationship with him, receive the abundance and healing and love he brings. As much as the Greeks who came to see Philip want to see Jesus, Jesus wants to see them even more. The Greeks will see him when he is lifted up on the cross, and again in the garden with his empty tomb nearby, and again at the ascension when Jesus returns to God the Father. And Jesus' abiding presence will be with the Greeks even after that. Such is the strength of his love and his bond with those who love him. The deepest desire of the Greeks' heart will be fulfilled. Perhaps we share that desire. We wish to see Jesus. We long for the abundance and healing and love he offers. And we will see Jesus in the weeks to come, as we remember his death during Holy Week and celebrate his resurrection at Easter. As much as we wish to meet Jesus, he wishes to see us and be in relationship with us even more. He draws us all to him, all, rich and poor and in between, male and female and non-binary, young and old, long-time Christians and those new to faith, Asian and Latino and white and black, trans and cisgender, conservative and liberal and moderate, straight and gay and bi, all. He stretches out his loving arms to embrace all of us, every last one. We will see Jesus on the cross, in the garden of the empty tomb, at the ascension. And we will get more than merely seeing him, such as the strength of his love for us and his bond with us. What we find in our relationship with Jesus overflows our lives to spread into this hurting world. We share the abundance and healing and love we have found with others who long to see Jesus. He falls to earth so that we who follow him will bear much fruit.